I'm Dana Perino, along with Brian Kilmeade, Jessica Tarlov, Jesse Waters, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five.
Oh!
Oh my God, drag him back!
Tensions running high in Minneapolis for a second day after a woman was shot dead by an ICE agent. DHS says 37-year-old Renee Good used her car as a weapon against a federal officer. And we are now learning that the ICE agent in question was the same agent who, back in June, was dragged more than 100 yards by a car driven by an illegal immigrant sex offender while trying to make an arrest. The agent needed 33 stitches, but he did make a full recovery. Vice President J.D. Vance taking over the briefing room with some harsh words for the media over the way he thinks they've been covering the shooting.
She was trying to ram this guy with her car. He shot back. He defended himself. He's already been seriously wounded in law enforcement operations before, and everybody who's been repeating the lie that this is some innocent woman who was out for a drive in Minneapolis when a law enforcement officer shot at her, you should be ashamed of yourselves. This is absolutely a tragedy, but it's a tragedy of the making of the far left. They have radicalized a very small segment of the population, taught them that ICE agents are engaging in wide-scale violation of people's rights. There's a part of me that feels very, very sad for this woman, not just because she lost her life, but because I think she is a victim of left-wing ideology.
Liberal commentators and some Democrats are ramping up their rhetoric against ICE.
It was an outright murder.
ICE has been carrying out state-sanctioned violence in our communities.
This is a George Floyd moment. This administration has gone too far.
Blood is clearly on the hands of those individuals within the administration who've been pushing an extreme policy that has nothing to do with immigration enforcement.
And I'll say it again, is bull. That is bull. The way they've been conducting themselves is also bull.
Very, very difficult for Minnesotans to think in any way this is going to be fair when Kristi Noem was judge, jury, and basically executioner yesterday.
Because there are going to be protests around this entire country because of the state-sanctioned execution.
Jesse, safe to say this did not de-escalate today.
No.
It actually escalated.
I mean, illegals have killed thousands of women in this country. They've burned them with cigarettes. They've raped them. They've done despicable things. You never hear the Democrats talk about that. And those were not defensive killings like this was. This is a woman who was in severe crisis. She lived a very sad and very chaotic life. She was divorced from her first husband and lost custody of her two kids. Another husband, she lost him. Then she gets involved with a female partner. They flee the country to Canada after the last election. They come back to Minneapolis from out of town. They drop their kid off, the young one, at a daycare center so they can do what? So they can get in the middle of an incredibly dangerous law enforcement operation. And everybody that witnessed it said she was the lead provocateur. She was the lead car and been stalking this team of investigators all day long in the snow. So these guys get trapped. They get boxed in because the car gets stuck. And she gets in the way. And she doesn't comply. And one thing leads to another. And she slams her foot on the accelerator. And this guy, you know, he thought he was going to get run over. And he'd been dragged before, got 30 stitches in his arm, was in the hospital. So you know how tense this stuff is. Why are women putting themselves in dangerous situations? These ICE agents are arresting alleged terrorists, according to Noem. A pedophile they got yesterday. They picked up a drug trafficker, guys who beat their wives. These are incredibly tense situations. You do not put yourself in the middle of that. And it looks like the Democrat media industrial complex is preying on these vulnerable women. And they brainwash them into putting their lives on the line to protect illegal aliens. Illegal aliens that are stealing millions from children. And so why are they doing that? They're doing that because they want the illegal aliens to stay here. They want the criminal illegal aliens to stay here. Now, you always hear the Democrats say, oh, we want the aliens that commit crimes. We want them worst out first. No. If they wanted the worst out first out, they'd keep them in jail and let ICE get them there. But the entire city's just releasing them willy-nilly into these neighborhoods, and you have to go in blind with no local backup because it's a sanctuary city and pick them up. So you don't get in the middle of that. And they're doing this for money and power. The more immigrants in this country, the more votes and political power Democrats get, and the more they can fleece the welfare system.
Jessica, I haven't had a chance to hear from you on this yet today.
No. Happy to be back. Happy New Year, everybody. It's my first time back. So, Jesse, you just said this woman is in severe crisis. She was boxed in. If you watch the whole video...
She was boxed in.
That's what she was boxed in.
No, I said the team was boxed in.
Okay, the team was boxed in by... Once she moved over, she pulled to the side, and then she actually waves another ICE officer past her, right? So she's in such severe crisis that she can be polite in traffic and say, you go ahead, and then you hear her actually audibly saying, I'm pulling out, right? She signals exactly what she's doing. She starts to move forward, and everyone should go and watch. The New York Times has about 3.5 minutes of footage coming from every angle, and this is what they brought up to President Trump when they were meeting with him last night when he said, the officer, the brave officer, and after he tweeted, it's hard to believe that the officer is alive when he walked away completely unscathed. We can see that on video as well. But the footage contradicts the administration on almost every level of what they've said. Renee Good waving the vehicle by. The officer was to the side of the car when he drew the gun. He leaned over the hood for the first shot. You can see that on the angle, too. That he fired 2 more shots at arm's length on a 90-degree angle. And it almost doesn't matter, actually, what she was doing because she didn't have another weapon. According to DOJ policy, which they should be in compliance with, it says deadly force may not be used solely to prevent the escape of a fleeing suspect. Firearms must be discharged at a moving vehicle unless a person is threatening deadly force by other means than the vehicle, and no other means of defense exist, including moving out of the path. He could clearly move out of the path because he did, and that's why he was unscathed in this. I don't know why it wasn't good enough for Secretary Noem or the president or the vice president to say, this is a tragedy, we need to investigate this. And not only do we need to investigate it, we need the FBI to work with local officials on the ground in Minnesota, which apparently they do not want to do. And Governor Walz was talking about that as well. That would have been the responsible thing to do here. And talking as if there is no potential that this officer is at fault with what happened feels like you're getting a little bit ahead of your skis, especially when there is so much footage that contradicts the story that the administration is giving.
So there is an investigation underway, Brian, but the shot comes right through, as Paul Morrow was saying today, directly into the front windshield. So for that to happen,
there's no way that officer's life wasn't at risk. And I think you should be investigated. It's going to be investigated, no doubt about it. And the problem is, if this was just one day, hey, what's going on? Did you hear about ICE in the cities? I go, yeah, whoa. No, we're watching this thing play out since Donald Trump became president. First in California, over in Los Angeles, then in Chicago. Now we see it over in Minneapolis. We see it in New Orleans. When you have a cooperative governor, you don't really have these incidents. You're looking at a situation which, if you look at the mayor and the governor of that state, if you look at the mayor and governor of Chicago, you definitely look at the mayor, Karen Bass, and the governor of California. They basically set the trap for this day. And you see the shootings that took place in Dallas, aiming at police officers from a roof. They killed 2 illegal immigrants. But they are building up to this. They have made ICE the bad guys. And that's why attacks are up 1,000% on ICE in the last year, and death threats are up 8,000%. And that's just some of the stories and some of the stats. You can't just say, what happened on that block at that time in that 5 minutes? You have to say what built up to that. How threatened were these guys? I think it's important. It's a nuance of the story that he was hit and dragged 50 feet and got 20 stitches in his arm. But when you go out there, you got to put all that behind you and just react to that one situation. I do think you're 100% right. Let's wait for the investigation. But I think that this story was waiting to be written the minute these governors made the enemy of ICE, threatened local police to go after the federal police. And it's up to the cops right now. to tell your mayors and governors it is not okay for us not to back up ICE and answer calls, because men and women in uniform have to have each other's back. They can't let politicians get in the way of law enforcement. And if everybody agrees to do that, keep politics out of it, and back each other up, everyone's going to be safer.
The podcaster Jennifer Welch, the very left-wing one, Greg, she said this is a George Floyd moment. It's like that's what they want.
That's what they wanted, exactly. This is why, look, I predicted that this was going to happen. And in my opinion, no one has to watch this and no one has to have an opinion about the shooting.
Yeah.
Let somebody else, let the experts figure that out. Don't be drawn into this. You don't have to play by the rules of the radicals. So the question, and Jesse brings it up, is why would a mother of a young child, a widow, consistently participate in aggressive confrontations with law enforcement? Why did she feel emboldened to break the law in an endless theater of chaos? Swept up in the latest demonization narrative that eggs on illegal and stupid behavior. Don't blame ICE. She wasn't the target. They were. And it was believed by the people involved that it would be fine, that there would never be any consequences. It was all part of this mania that we've talked about that cuts across a whole bunch of issues, whether it's Trump, trans, BLM, Israel. The table is set with this manic hysteria where radicals believe that they gain leeway by branding the rest of us as an existential evil. You know what this made me think about? The Tide Pod Challenge. Do you remember that in 2017 when stupid teens were filming themselves eating Tide Pods and then they get poisoned? Do you know what Tide's response was? Use for washing, not eating. The point being, if you're going to eat Tide Pods, there's not much else we can do except tell you not to do it. The same here. We can tell you, don't break the law. Don't block traffic. Don't harass law enforcement every day and then flee the scene. But if you do, wow, you definitely share responsibility in that, just like the teen who films himself eating a Tide Pod. So you can investigate this shooting, have at it. But it never would have happened if the situation had presented itself. And that is on the Democrats who willed it into being with rhetoric, the same kind of amplification of demonization that got Charlie Kirk killed and Donald Trump shot. But this is for different reasons. Their motivation is to gin up the activist base. They put targets on ICE. They put targets on ICE, and then they blame ICE for defending themselves. Think about that. We can't play that game anymore. We are done with it. And we're not going to explain it to you. We're not going to explain to you why this is wrong. We don't have to. You're not going to find people hoax us anymore. We've been red-pilled by your lies. So we're no longer beholden to radical idiocy. If you want to block a street, if you want to hinder and harass law enforcement, that's your responsibility. If you had listened to me, some kid would still have his mother. But instead, you listen to people like Waltz, the people who try to evade their responsibility by projecting their own guilt on other people.
Well, there might be even more, because it doesn't seem like Governor Walz wants to tamp it down.
He is a literal douchebag.
He's reckless.
Yeah.
But he's trying not to...
literally, he is a douchebag.
But he's trying not to talk about fraud. So he's desperate to change the subject.
Same with Jacob Fry, because he's involved in that too.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.